Howdy do, top of the morning, golden morning, my friends. Indeed it is a golden morning. Man, scratching the head feels good. What gate are we in today? We're in gate 16 still. Skills. Logical, collective accumulation and acquiring of skills. Just a general pulse. Who out there is learning a new skill or is improving one of your existing skills? Who's doing that right now? Just out of curiosity. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm doing that, but that's what the transits in human design are right now. Skills. And today, in particular, go pull it up real quick because I don't memorize these things or in the process of internalizing these things. I mean, it was like not discipline, it's independence. The skill of independence. We can talk more about that in a second here once my computer loads. But top of the morning, how is everyone feeling? Independence, the proper timing to maintain rhythm and avoid deflation. The independent skill and possible talent to express proper timing and rhythm. That's one side. The other side is the child whose overconfidence may lead to frustration and ensuing dependence on others to regenerate enthusiasm, thus creating an unnecessarily reliance, the need to have others confirm their skills or talents. When it comes to your skills, are your skills independent or dependent? One is not wrong, one is not right. It's just, are you dependent on a teacher? Are you dependent on an opponent? How do the skills feel for you? I broke out my DJ equipment, which I hadn't done in a while, which I guess is a skill of mine. I was actually thinking about breaking it out for this live, but I'll probably build up to it because I've just been obsessed with Sleep Token lately, and I really want to go live and just do a bunch of Sleep Token mixes with some of my favorite like dubstep and bass music. I'm currently working through resistance of caring about others sneak disses towards me, like others that sneak disses towards you. Yeah, okay. I got you, friend. I've always realized that, a lot of people, when they're dissing you, oftentimes it's as a way of elevating themselves, and it's yeah, it's just their reflections. It's like when you curse somebody or when you point or when you blame at somebody. It's one of the easiest ways to not take accountability for something that's going on in your life. That's why being cringy, and I do my best to just be myself and not be cringy, but some of the stuff I do is kind of cringy to others. And I remember something my teacher said a long time ago. He says, Marco, if you want to be successful, you have to be willing to suffer temporary loss of respect from people whose opinions don't matter. Like, you can still be caring, you can still be compassionate and kind, but you have to be willing to lose their respect, because their opinions and their respect is literally doing nothing for you. It's actually doing quite a bit. It's holding you in a frame, and this can be coming from parents, people that you love, your partners. Like, everyone has this projection of who you are and who you are to them, and if you're doing a good job of that or not. And sometimes you have to disappoint the people that are closest to you in order to break free from the mold that those people are holding you in. And it's very uncomfortable. This is why, like, when you start to raise your vibration, one of the things that stops people is like, oh, it's their friend. I don't want to go too high, then I'm not connected with my friend. I don't want to go too high or go too deep, and then I lose my connection to my friend. But the only connection that you truly have is your connection to yourself. And that's why a lot of people start the spiritual journey, is because they're looking for a way to deepen their connection and heighten their connection with themselves and with the world around them and with people that they judge to be, how you say, more healthy or more harmonious for them. Can you share some more about 9 and O relationships? It's me and my partner's composite, but I don't understand it too well. Mindful moment, I totally can. So 9 and O relationships, the rhyme that goes along, because they all have little rhymes which are cute, is 9 and O, nowhere to go. 9 is representative of the amount of defined centers that you have in the composite, which is 2 body graphs put together. By the way, if you guys don't have your body graph, just check the link in my bio. You can generate a body graph for free. I still have my memorial sale going on, so you can get my $35 report for 20 bucks. That will actually teach you how to read your body graph, as well as give you a whole analysis. It's like 80 pages usually, depending on how many channels you have. But the 9 is representing defined centers within the composite. The 0 is representing undefined centers. So with a 9 and 0 relationship, essentially the relationship is the way that it's going to be, or rather that it's destined, it's poised to be the way that it's going to be. Doesn't mean you can't have friends, doesn't mean that you can't do new things or etc. It just means like there's nowhere to go. Like the relationship that you have is typically going to be the relationship that you have. Now, with that being said, not everyone is able to access the epitome of their relationship. And so a lot of the times 9 and 0 will get sort of painted out as like, oh, this is a bad relationship and this bad relationship is all we have. Maybe. A lot of people are not actually living their design. Their auras are not necessarily aligned with their physical bodies. Their physical bodies are not aligned with their aura. So there's a lot of like people that are out of alignment that end up in 9 and 0 relationships, and they blame the 9 and 0 when in actuality their relationships with themselves just suck. And your relationship with yourself, when I talk about having a healthy aura, what I'm literally talking about is the synergistic and harmonious relationship of your organs, because it's your organs and your hormones that control everything. If your organs and your hormones are correct, a lot of time your muscles and your tendons and your movement will be correct. This also has to do with your organs and your nervous system. So those two things are proper. That's like mom and dad, proper. Then the child, which is your experience of health, the expression of your aura, that's going to be proper as well. So 9 and 0 relationships can be incredibly satisfying in the sense that, you know, again, all the centers are defined. So there's not necessarily this like looking for variety. And this is where 9 and 0 again can lead to this rhyme, nowhere to go. Like if you're at a party and you're 9 and 0, you're either don't see each other the whole time or you're like sitting on each other's lap the whole time. If you're 9 and 0, people will attempt to give advice to you as a relationship if you guys are going through stuff, and you'll be incapable of taking it because you're 9 and 0. Nowhere to go. There's no room for other people to bring their way of doing things really into the equation. Not in a way, at least, that's going to overshadow what you do. So a lot of 9 and 0 people, again, they're going to experience cycles, like the same quote unquote same problem. But really, one thing to remember about cycles is that if you are, like I was saying, advancing yourself towards a greater experience of health, which is harmonizing your organs and your nervous system, then you will not be going in circles, you will be going in a spiral, either up or down. Some people are too high, they need to come down. Some people are too low, they need to come up. It's not just about raising your vibration. And most people actually need to come down into their bodies, because down for me is feeling. Like up is thinking. When you're elevating yourself, you're looking to raise your vibration, you're looking to change your mind. When you're coming down, you're looking to invoke feeling, you're looking to invoke a sort of occupation of your body. For me, when I started spirituality, my spiritual journey, whatever, I was trying to go up, 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 and I left my body behind. And then I came down, 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 and I left all of that thinking spiritual stuff behind. And now I'm just kind of like, oh, it's a ladder. I can go up and down. Great. Because it's not better to be higher. unless it is. And it's not better to be lower unless it is. The magic of humanity and human being is that we have the physical senses to get information into our body. We have the physical body and the mind to process all of that sensory information. And then we have the ability to express it. That's called efferent feedback. Afferent, get it in the body, process it, rule out impossibilities. Efferent, express the appropriate action. That's how everything works. Computers work that way. Afferent, they get keystrokes and mouse clicks. They have processors, and then they express the finding through printers, screens, speakers, etc. And a truly educated person is someone that knows how to, because education is often taught as like this is what's important to know. You're educated because you know these things, but really education is about being able to lead things out from within yourself. So the more that you can learn, unlearn, and relearn things as though you through the eyes of a child, that is to me the true definition of education, is the ability to lead out more and more and more from within you by learning, unlearning, and relearning things. Like, how often do people relearn how to play guitar, especially when they're really good at it? That's been one of my secrets, because what I'll do is I'll learn a style, I'll learn a song, and then I'll master it. I'll be able to play it really well, and then I'll learn another song or learn another style that I'm not good at. For me personally, I wouldn't say I'm constantly seeking this out, but I am definitely seeking ways to be a student in my life more than I am looking for places to be the master. That I'm the main authority. So, the frame metaphor really makes sense. Comfort in a frame can lead to stagnation. Yeah. Ogana, what's up? Welcome to the party. How was that class on Monday though? It's so funny because when Pasha was drawing X's on his hands, it reminded me of a time in my life. I went to a Catholic Bible study camp, and there were all these kids with X's on their hands, and they're like straight edge, like we don't do substance or sex or any of that stuff. And I was like, oh, that's just, it's funny because that's kind of like both how we are now, Pasha and I. We're just like very straight edge, very sober, just high on life, you know. Hey, Flower of Life, how are you? So I'm learning how to practice using my low sound digestion with my right brain. So one thing that's really cool with low sound vibration, I've realized, is being able to wiggle your ears. And I can like literally, if I'm talking to someone, I can sort of like tune into, and you'll see it like, it's not just my ears that move. It's also parts of my neck. Like everything is connected. You just did it. So one thing that I'll do is I'll put my ear to the ground, because another thing about low sound is like, think about like bass. Bass is low sound. And when it comes to low sound, oftentimes it's not the sound that's most prominent. It's the thing that you feel. And so when you get low to the ground and like, like typical Native American, putting his ear to the ground, listening for the buffalo, I do that quite a bit. I'm also a valley person. So being on the floor is awesome, but I like sitting on the floor and eating because the sound is lower there. And on top of that, I'm also able to, like, for instance, if there's a bunch of people standing eating, I will literally go somewhere kind of quiet and sit down and just like eat my food on the floor. I'm also a Filipino Mexican, so that's another reason I do that. But I realized that there's a lot of sort of intuitive or unconscious things that I would do that relate to me being able to hear the sound of me chewing my food. And I'm very sensitive to these sounds. And I realize that when I am chewing, it's kind of like there's like a song, there's like a rhythm. And it's also, your heartbeat is a low sound. Subtle frequencies, they're low sound. The sound of your blood whooshing through your veins. And when you do this with combination, like you put your inner forearm against your ears, you can literally hear the whooshing of your blood. And that kind of stuff, at least for me, so calming. So calming. I got called out one time that it sounds like I'm chewing when I'm drinking tea. Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious. And a lot of the times in, or at least from what I've heard in Japanese culture, if you're not making loud sounds and burping and slurping your food, it means you're not enjoying it. That might just be some cultures, but again, it's like you think about it, it's like when you're eating, I think it's wonderful to have an awareness of your impact on other people, because there's some people that are, very dysregulated. Like I can eat, even though I'm a low sound person, I can eat in high sound environments. I can eat in environments where there's a lot going on, where I can't really hear myself easily. But then I tune back into it, because so that's kind of like my hook for digestion. Is if I'm like at a concert or something, I usually won't eat. But if I'm like really hungry, my body is like, no, we want food. I won't necessarily. Sometimes I'll go find a quiet place, or I'll do my best to. But oftentimes I will just literally have to focus on my food, hook into my low sound, sit on the floor, and kind of like put this protective bubble around me and absorb the food. So yeah, focus on the sounds. And focus on how, like, for instance, drinking tea is a pretty one-dimensional thing. Like you put the thing up to you put the cup up to your face, but most people grab their teacup like this, which is how they grab everything. Grab it like this, or grab it like this. This is how I generally hold my teacup. A lot of people don't notice it, because it's just like, oh yeah, because these fingers, this is your midline. This is part of your like crab claw that grabs everything. So this is the part of you that always is grabbing, holding on to stuff. This I equate to being able to hold the thing that I'm about to ingest, to hold it in my peripherals. Because tea is a mindfulness practice. It's like what you just it just slows you down. It's like, no, there's a lot more to it than that. Again, comes down to how you're interacting physically with it. I've been contemplating why/how sometimes I study better in loud environments, because you're forced to focus. It's like you have to put energy into focusing, whereas with low sound, you might be like a little bit more relaxed. That's kind of how I feel. Like sometimes in loud environments or chaotic environments, I much prefer calm environments. But sometimes, like when I'm at a coffee shop and I'm studying or I'm getting work done, I'm like I have to be in my bubble. I have to pull my aura in here. I can't just like fill up the space with my energy and do this and do that. That's at least for me. So it keeps giving the sensation of all of this has nothing to do with me. Wait, what are you talking about, Dane? Deanne, can you say something about stimulant touch with markets internal? Can you give some vision slash explanation about disassociation? Yeah, so it's about not feeling like disassociation, and I'll talk about the stimulant touch because this is a good thing. Disassociation oftentimes is a result of conditioning that ejects your presence from your body because you watched other people eject their presence from their body or hide or suppress feelings. A lot of the times, disassociation has to do with not feeling safe in the body, and continued disassociation further solidifies that. And one of the ways that you can start to reassociate with your body is you start to change the definition of what intense means. Because, like, intensity for most people is like as soon as you turn the dial to one, for them, the light switch goes on, the light is blinding, it's too intense. And a lot of people have a light switch where there ought to be a dial and where there actually is a dial. And so, one of the very simple ways to work with this, and this works for stimulant touch as well, because stimulant touch is like walking around or having your nervous system, um, how you say, actually elevated, like upregulated. Again, walking around. That's a great one. Standing, moving, dancing. I'll sometimes dance while I eat, even though I'm not stimulant touch, just to explore it. But and say, I don't suffer from disassociation. I was talking about the rare moments when it happens. It's more a philosophical issue. Oh, so I disassociate quite a bit. Like when I'm singing, there's points where I'm so associated with my voice and the sensation that it actually disassociates me. And that's really cool because, like, I used to really not like the sound of my voice, And even when I'll record myself, sometimes I'll get into singing where I feel like it's so good that I'm like hovering above myself. It's kind of funny. It's like in Step Brothers when he's like, I felt like I was like hovering above myself, watching myself sing. That's kind of how it feels. But it's like a positive disassociation because it's like there's something else moving through me, or rather, there's something moving through me with me as opposed to just me kind of doing it. And I get lost in the sensation and what I've related that to, because I've gotten a similar sensation in doing sensory design techniques. The one thing that I was going to show you guys is if you just plug your nose and try and breathe in, but your nose is plugged, get to the point where you're like, oh crap, like I need air. I need air. Life Force, love you, my friend. See you next time. Yeah, your turn to integrate. Love that. Get to the point where you're like, sort of, your body is responding with this sort of panic. That level of intensity, that's one on your dial. And there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, counting like my daughter now. That's so funny. Reflector, living with a manifester. But the more intensity that your nervous system can handle calmly, like that's the thing that we're looking to train. And so it's not just in the nose and in the face, it's all over the body. But the best place to start is in the nose and the face. So, like, for instance, stimulate touch, one of the greatest things to do, literally right before you're about to eat the meal, upregulate your nervous system. Or right before you're about to eat the meal, lay down, do some box breathing, calm yourself down, and then get up, do jumping jacks, start eating your food. Super fun. Digesting is digesting information too. Yep. And I don't know, Dean, I don't know if I'm hitting this right for you, my friend, but I love where it's going. Like the feeling that it has nothing to do with you. That could just be you just observing your thoughts. Because a lot of the thoughts, especially if you have undefined head and ajna, these two centers at the top there, if you have undefined head and ajna, a lot of the things you're thinking about have nothing to do with you. You're just there observing it. So, brother, your input on cleansing protocol. I feel I need to start this path properly, but I get more dysregulated, like question mark. Yeah. So when you're cleansing, similar when you're like rewiring your nervous system, dysregulation, discomfort, pain, resistance, all of that is literally a part of the process. Like if you think about it, if you're cleansing something, if there's heavy metals, if there's parasites, if there's stuff living inside you that is how you say harmful for you, but it lives inside you as a way of like living, especially parasites. Like parasite cleanses are literally some of the most uncomfortable, like painful, very challenging things to do, is because if you don't do it properly, then they just go deeper. Um, so when it comes to cleansing protocols, it's like it's like that's more of an exorcism than an exorcism. And what I will say about cleansing protocols as well is like I am not the best person to give advice on cleansing protocols. I haven't really done that many. I've done clay things. I've done fasting, but I do have someone who is incredible. Like he had to keep himself alive because his heart was mutated at birth, and so he literally had to keep himself alive by figuring out all the cleansing protocols, the healthiest ways to eat, and I'd be super happy to connect you to him. Send me a DM. That goes for anyone. If you guys want like the goat, like the guy in terms of like cleansing and detoxes and stuff like that, I know the guy. He's not necessarily like how you say you wouldn't know by seeing his Instagram that he does that kind of stuff, but he's literally the best at it. Like bro got surgery a week ago and he's like already healed because he like covered himself in silver gel and did red light therapy and did enemas and does ozone therapy and all this kinds of stuff. So yeah, send me a DM and I'll send you his Instagram. Do I have to be a little more easy if I'm pregnant while practicing getting my nervous system on the edge? or is it helpful to get ready for a birth? You know, that great question, Ogana. Congratulations, by the way. That's amazing. Birth is one of those things that, as a man, I've learned to set my ego aside and say, I know nothing. And so I'm going to defer you back to your own authority and your baby's authority, in the sense that, you know, what we're doing with sensory design, right, is we're looking to cultivate an inner authority so that your body and your mind have a thing to have a part in saying when enough is enough. um, I would be mindful about um, pressurizing just in the sense that it's like, you know, it's not necessarily now your mind and your body, but it's also your mind, your body, and then the baby's body. And so being able to tune into multiple authorities that exist inside you, it's something that I, as a man, am never going to be able to do. I'll never get the opportunity. But I would say, yeah, go extra easy on yourself, and learn where and this is the whole point of the exercises, is to learn where your mind is limiting you, but your body can actually take more. The little bean's body. Yeah, because like that little bean right there is like, you know, they're developing their body, and they are in a similar way that we are sort of, as a species, in transition to what Ra would call a rave human, or a nine-centered being. Us with our nine-centered body graphs, it's not fully developed. We have to develop this center right here, which is the solar plexus. This is the grand mutation. This is the thing that in 2027, the rave children are supposedly going to be born with full awareness of their emotional system. Whereas we have partial awareness and partial motor function, they're just going to have pure awareness. So they're literally like not going to give a damn about any relationships that are not inherently meant for them. And they're going to be able to see it as clearly as you'll be able to see and judge someone who's wearing clothes or behaving in a certain way. Like there'll be markers that they can see and sense with this information, and they'll be able to identify those markers and be like, oh no, I don't have to deal with you. And it's wild because it's a built-in lie detector, and we have a sort of prototype version of it, whereas these children coming forward are going to have, it's just going to be online. These are kids coming in 2027. We're already starting to see the transition, and this is because, again, the neutrinos spend enough time moving through these centers, and we are pushing awareness. Like, humanity is collectively becoming more compassionate, more kind, more altruistic over time. I think people can agree with that. Some people are still kind of stuck in the past on both sides of the political spectrum. A lot of people are still stuck in the past. But when you look beyond the wings of the bird and you see the actual bird, because the celiac ganglia, the solar plexus in the physical body is right here. It's like upper abdomen, but then it also extends down to the pelvic floor and up into the digastrix and the neck. And so, in terms of like a pregnancy, and especially for pregnant women, not only is sensory design an incredible preparation for birth because it teaches you how to calm yourself, it teaches you about pressure. Like, a lot of women will defer their authority to doctors, to people that study it professionally. And I'm not here to say that the medical system is trash, but a lot of how you say complications that women will experience in birth, and I've done a lot of research because my partner she's in her second pregnancy now, is a lot of the times it's due to the result of the authority being taken away from the woman. And you see that not just in pregnancy, but you see that in music, you see that in so many different areas, where when you take the authority away from the person that it belongs to, from the person that it's like, we need your inner authority online, you end up creating more problems than you solve. So this ganglia is developing while my baby is in the womb. It's really wild and beautiful. Yeah, and it's one thing too about just in terms of pregnancy is the expectations that I feel like people put on pregnancy as this like very intense moment that you need to be studied and looked at and watched and taken care of, and everything needs to be meticulously calculated. It's like, I'm a type of person that when I learned how to play music, I learned by ear. I didn't learn the technicalities of it. And sometimes when I get too much into the technicalities of things, or when there's too much observation or so much of that, like it ruins the fun and the beauty of the thing because it's a mystery. And even though there's like, a long history of this happening and that happening and that happening, again, it's like if you look at it on a quantum level, it's like how much of those complications happened as a result of the woman not being prepared to give birth. And by prepared to give birth, I mean learning how to listen to her body, learning how to ask for what she needs. Like there's a reason it takes 9 months to develop this child, and there's a reason why so many, especially people in this generation, are not willing and don't want to have children. I genuinely believe it's because they're unwilling to listen to their own bodies. And so, how are you going to listen to another body? They're unwilling to regulate their own nervous system. They want other people to regulate their nervous system for them. And so that's why a lot of it's become a cultural norm. Oh, I'm dysregulated, I'm neurodivergent, I'm autistic, I'm all these things. And not to say that that's bad. It's just like, for instance, we have a handful of people that are super anxious, super depressed, neurodivergent, probably autistic, but they're not like letting those labels convince them that they can't still live the life that they want to live. They're not waiting for the world to be safer. They're creating authority within themselves. They're creating a sense of safety by like microdosing intensity and microdosing overstimulation. Because when you get into actually like microdosing these sensations, what you realize is that your body can actually stretch and has more capacity than your mind gives it credit for. Your mind wants to keep it safe, which we want to strengthen the connection with the mind, but not without the body. Staying connected to her body while she's in the experience, the most pressure and pain, yes, instead of numbing. Exactly. Like when the baby is being born, like can you imagine the discomfort that the baby is feeling? Like even just going through the birth portal there of your pelvis is like the pelvis squeezes their head, similar to what we do in sensory design when we're squeezing our own heads. And that pressure is the thing that helps them in the future. It squeezes them so that when they are in the terrestrial world, because they're going from a water world, right? Like a lot of people don't know this, but it's called a call. Like babies have like a little spaceship around their head. That's when the water breaks, that's where the water comes from. It's from this little like bubble that's around their head. So they're literally living in an aquatic world, and then they go into a different pressurized system. Instead of water, it's air. Instead of receiving nourishment through the tube, you have to suck on it. So there's a lot of really cool overlaps between pregnancy and sensory design um, that are really awesome to explore. And my partner also is, I mean, she practices a lot of these drills. And again, she uses her own discernment in terms of the stage of pregnancy that she's at, which she's pretty far along, the amount of effort to put in. And it's a cultivation of her own inner authority. I'll just say that. But I'm so happy for you, Ogana. And is this going to be your first baby? They come out knowing exactly what to do. The right fleet reflexes kick in. Yeah. And if you as the mom, what I was going to say earlier as well is like, if you as the mom can um, be with the sensation rather than like, it's painful, just like, again, I'm a man, so it's kind of like, it's not ridiculous for me to like pretend to know what I'm talking about, but a lot of what I'm talking about, I'm just like looking at the women and just kind of saying what I see. The more confident that a woman can be in her body and maintain the inner authority and be like, this is what I was built for, because quite literally that's one of the things that you were built for, if not like the pinnacle thing. Personally, I think it's one of the most important things that a woman can do is to bring children into this world. Second baby, first one came through uh a C-section. Yeah. Yeah, my partner was a result of a C-section birth as well. When you are pregnant as a reflector, do you feel the energy of the baby more intense than other women? Oh, dude, again, I don't know. I would imagine that because your child is still in utero and still developing, like we don't get our human design until the baby is born. until they like they take their first breath. That's at least where, in terms of human design and calculating the charts. I do imagine that it's kind of like predetermined. What's up, Luke? Um, However, the neutrinos, like the amount of neutrinos that a pregnant woman will experience as a reflector, as opposed to a generator woman or any of the other types, I would imagine they're more, because the reflectors can just be more sensitive to anything. They can be more sensitive and more numb than any of the other types. So yeah, I think that's a really great question, and I'm definitely actually going to bring this up to my friend Tressa. Is it hypnotherapy, human design, or human design hypnotherapy? I forget. Um, but she's a mother, so she gave birth, and she's a manifester, and that would be a really cool thing to talk about with her live. So I'm gonna make that happen. I'm actually gonna make that happen right now, in the spirit of the manifester energy. I'm going to send her a DM right now. I have sleep token on repeat in my brain. Okay, it is sent. Just keep an eye out for that. That's going to be a really cool one. Hi, do the right invitations for a projector come through their full channels? Same for other types. So the proper invitations are the ones that people are able to recognize not only your channels, but also like your openness. Like, let's say you have an undefined ajna and someone says like, hey, I'd really love to get your perspective on this. I feel like you have a great way of understanding the way I think. They're recognizing your undefined ajna, because the gift of the undefined ajna is to adopt the way people think and adopt the way people achieve certainty. Help them get to certainty by knowing the way they think and being able to reflect that back to them. Terms of channels, like if you have the channel of judgment, someone could recognize that. My partner has the channel of judgment. I recognize that all the time. I say, hey, hon, this is, trust your judgment. Trust your judgment. If you think it's time for Venus to come down, like, I want to spend more time alone with you, but if you're getting the splenic hit to bring Venus down, I'm talking about like her being with her grandma, do it. I support that. That's an invitation. The right invitations for a projector, oftentimes, the problem is that the projector doesn't know how to surround themselves with people that know themselves well enough to know the impact that the projector is having on them. That's why for a lot of projectors, the first cycle, the first neurological sweep, first 18 months of a experiment with human design for a projector, for a lot of non-sacral types, even for generators and manifesting generators, like, just like, go be a hermit for a little bit. Go be a hermit. Don't sleep with anyone. Don't date anyone. Don't do any of that. Especially if you want a partner, especially if you want to give birth to a business, especially if you don't know what you're doing with your life. A lot of the times, especially for the non-sacral beings, you're going to outsource that authority continuously to all the people in your life. And especially if you have people in your life that you're like really, really close with or have really strong ties with. I'm not saying cut the ties. I'm saying give them some slack. Give them some slack. Like, as a projector, one of the weirdest things to see always, and it breaks my heart sometimes, but it also is just like the truth. As a projector, if you stop reaching out to your friends to do things, how are they going to reach out to you? Are they going to reach out to you? And I say it breaks my heart because for a lot of people, projectors, that I tell this to, I say, hey, experiment with like a year of hermitude or a year and a half of hermitude, whatever they can handle. If you can do something for a year and a half, you can do anything, straight up. And it doesn't mean never go out. Take yourself out to do things that you want to do. What it means is give your relationships, the connections in your life, some slack. Don't be the one to initiate. Let them see what happens when you let them be the ones to initiate, and just see what happens. like I said, it breaks my heart sometimes because people will realize like, oh my God, Marco, I've given this slack, like you said, and none of my friends are reaching out. I say, oh. So now the way you're feeling is actually manifesting in your reality. They're like, yeah. And I'm like, and how do you feel? And they're like, oddly, I feel like relieved and not as exhausted. And I was like, they're like, what do I do next? I'm like, what do you think? Like now that you have space to live your life, live your life. Like if you want new clothes, throw away 80% of your closet. If you want a new car, park on the sidewalk. Make room in the area that you would put a new car. You have to create room. Manifestation is about vacuums and vortexes. It's about making room for you to bring yourself online, not bringing more things in. Oof, the realness. I have definitely had close people fall away the more I've committed to my design. Yeah. And not to say better people, but more appropriate connections will emerge, especially for like the projector that knows how to like take themselves to the forest, take themselves to the concert, take themselves to this, take themselves to that. Because there's this, I think it's a myth. There's this myth that projectors don't have like the energy to do things with themselves, that they need other people to do things. And I'm like, bruh, just like the transits. Look at the transits. Whenever you have an activation on one of your motor centers, like commit, go do something to yourself. Be strategic. So what is the difference between human design and gene keys? Human design focuses on the aura and the circuitry of the body graph. Gene keys focuses on the gates and the genetics that are, because the I Ching is effectively, it's a genetic pattern recognition system developed by the Chinese. And the gene key focuses more on that. Again, it's like, where are you going to focus? There's so many systems within the human design system, like sensory design. The difference between human design and sensory design is, rather than focusing on the aura, rather than focusing on what gene keys focuses on, rather than focusing on the language, which is what quantum human design does, we focus on the physical body, the organs that are producing the circuitry, the organs that are using the gene keys, the organs that are using and interpreting the language. And we have like a very affordable membership that you can get half off your first month, I think, still, if you use the coupon code MEMORY. Normally it's $37 a month, which again is incredibly affordable given what you're actually getting. There's 2 classes a week, a whole library of pre-recorded classes and courses that will like get you up to speed. There's a really great community. Like you go on there, go click on progress and just see all the results people are getting, because these are results that are happening from the inside out. They're changing some things about their organ synergy and harmony, and it's reflecting in like straight up just like them becoming more beautiful. And not that they weren't beautiful to begin with, but there's a lot of like covering up, a lot of the postures, a lot of playing small. I can only see a little bit of your beauty. When you cultivate the inner authority, you stand taller. You know, your neck is more stable. Your face, I'm more open. I'm more ready to experience life. I'm not shying away or afraid of it. And that's what sensory design teaches. Ultimately, I see sensory design as the mutation, or the continued promise which human design gave us initially, was to help us surrender to the form. And some people need the mental before they can access the physical. But eventually you get to the point with the mental of human design of the, oh, so what am I supposed to do? Oh, follow your strategy and authority. So if I have an undefined center, what is it? Oh, watch the part of yourself that's going to look for certainty or try and convince people you're certain. Again, it's a lot of mental stuff. But once you actually get into that, how does that translate to the body? You start to work with the nervous system. You start to work with the organs. Dude, boo! We get lit in there. So I'm a 6'2" ego projector with the heart and G center. I did Vipassana 3 times before meeting my partner now, who I have 2 children with. IDK. Feels like I'm a forever hermit. You know, that's the profile of a forever hermit. And the beauty of it is that when it, at least in terms of a hermit, there will be invitations that come that invite you out of your hermitude to share the energy that you've cultivated. Like as a hermit, like if you think about the archetype of a hermit, it's someone who saturates themselves in nature. It's a wise person that people will seek out, especially being an ego projector. When someone invites you out and your heart is like producing energy, you're like, this is worth coming out. This is an opportunity to like when your ego gets activated by an invitation, Sweet. Great. That's it. But again, seeking that out, like you already know, I'm a forever hermit. But there are going to be times, especially as a sixth line, there's going to be times and phases of your life where you're going to be invited out of your hermitude to share the essence that you've been cultivating. And I would encourage you not to shy away from that. Don't use your children as an excuse. Don't use your partner as an excuse. If your ego lights up, if you're like, oh, this would feel good for me on a material, like I'm the coolest level, let that be your thing. Like let yourself have a healthy ego. Let yourself respond to invitations of like, wow, this person really thinks this. I feel good about that. So I love sensory design, lifelong dancer, so it all clicks. Yep. You already know. You already know. Say they are becoming more beautiful because they are becoming more like themselves. Yes, absolutely. Someone just told me when 2 5 1 people meet, it's going to be a double projecting cycle and you're going to be stuck on that. Sounds horrible. So you're never, I don't think you're ever stuck in anything, because I don't believe in the concept of being stuck. Like stuck is like, I'm not moving and nothing is happening and there's nothing I can do. Like there's always something you can do. Like you can always expand, you can always contract, at least inside your physical body. My guess is that whoever told you that, um, Lisuki, whoever told you that is probably super stuck up in their head when it comes to human design. Because my daughter and my partner are both 5 1s. Some of my best friends are 5 1s. And like, for instance, the only reason anyone would feel stuck in their life is because they have blinders on and they're only focused on what's in front of them. Right? And also when they feel stuck, they panic because it's like, how often are people confusing being stuck with like being at peace? How many people are confusing boredom with peace? Serious question. How many people are confusing stuck with a period of rest? Again, we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to seek validation, to care more about how it looks than how it feels. And this is a result. In a lot of ways, a lot of the ways that people use human design is actually to deepen the conditioning that they have. It's to explain, oh, this is why I have no energy because I'm a projector. It's like, no, you have no energy because you care more about what external systems say about you than the invitations that your heart and your spleen and your sacral and your pelvic floor and your solar plexus are giving you. I like dropping the heat, because I'll work with people that will say like, oh, I have low energy, and I say, okay, well, tell me how you wake up in the morning, or tell me how you decompress at night. And they tell me, and I'm like, you you have low energy because you're not actually getting rest. And that's actually the issue with a lot of projectors. The reason they have low energy is because they're not actually getting rest. They're laying down, but they're not getting rest. Their body is stuck in, or they're choosing to, like, I need to do this, I need to see me, you know. It's like always something to do. Whenever they're bored, they're like, oh, I'm being unproductive. And it's like, yeah, from the outside, but it's like, again, if your root is dysregulated, if your adrenals and your kidneys are always bracing for impact, you're never going to experience rest because you're always like this. And so the answer is not, hey, chill out. The answer is go deeper into it. Then you can actually rest. So anyway, Lisuki, yeah, that makes so much sense. And again, no shame to that person, but in my opinion, there's like, people don't know how to use human design, for the most part, and the people that think they know how to use human design still have dysregulated nervous systems. Yeah, that's that. And they're still looking for ways to be the external authority in the world because they don't have a sense of internal authority. And that's where, when you come into my lives or when you go into Pasha's lives, or his classes, you feel the difference. It's like, I'm not here to be your teacher. I'm like, dude, these are things I've learned in my life. And if it works for you, sick. Or health or wealth or whatever. And if it doesn't, cool. I'm not, this isn't like the one size fits all. Some people, again, are really in their bodies and they need to be more up in their head. They need to think, they need to be able to think a little bit more. I'm not that way. I think hard. I need to be more in my body. I've yet to do too much in terms of harmonizing my body and my mind. I've yet to do that. I haven't found it. So I'm a mental projector. Okay, Ogana, yes, wonderful. And I feel like I found human design after I disconnected for around 2 to 3 years. It was a time where I connected to myself deeply, and when I saw my body graph, it made sense. Yeah. And so that's the thing, is like the sequence and why we have the archive set up the way that it is, in terms of like we are showing the physical components of what the body graph is showing us energetically, is because for so many people, we're so conditioned by the external authority. When there is a system that does have accurate information about us, like human design, it opens us up to the world. Like, everyone is very, very suspicious because they don't know how to trust their inner authority. But when something that works for you and works for you also works for me, and it's all part of the same system, that's called social proof. Like, wow, your body graph describes you really well. Your body graph describes you really well. And my body graph describes me really well. Okay, cool. So I can see that. But how do I feel this? How do I cultivate this feeling and strengthen this feeling so that I have a body that can actually channel what my body graph is revealing to me? And that's the real question. And up until December of last year, the most thing that people could do was follow their strategy and authority. And now it's like, oh, if you have an undefined throat, when you feel the urge to talk, bite on your fist. And if you have solar plexus authority, saturate your solar plexus and pull your butthole up. And if you have ego authority, use your lungs to pressurize your heart. We do cool stuff in the archive, guys. If you're not in there, come check it out. Again, you can get 50% off your first month. It takes the $37 a month membership down to $18.50, I think it is. Memory. Coupon code MEMORY. Where do you look in human design for soulmates? Can two people have the same 6'2" lines as soulmates, or what indicators in HD help discover them? So again, twofold. So first of all, in order to find your soul mate, you have to first find that within yourself. And Ra even says the body is the soul's mate. Like, when a body graph is formed, or an energy system, a life form, a human life form is formed, what happens is the design crystal and the magnetic monopole basically create a platform for the personality to come in. And so the goal of this relationship is, in a way, it's like to convince the personality that your soul and your body are mates. So that the personality is like, wow, I don't have to look outside of myself. And instead of looking outside of myself for my soulmate, I can just witness the love story between my soul and my body. So that's the first layer of it. Your body is the soul, the body is the soul's mate, and vice versa. When it comes to attracting a reflection, that you're going to attract somebody oftentimes who is on the level that you're at in terms of their devotion to themselves. And when it comes to those relationships being harmonious, that is where we look at the way that your body graphs overlap. That's called a composite chart. And again, if you're in the archive, feel free to drop the composite chart in the discussion platform and ask some questions. Like, for instance, one of the questions that I have is like, have you found that two people with the 6'2" profiles are sort of incongruent with each other? What places do you feel like the soulmate energy is not like living up to the expectation as well? Because again, it's like, we're gonna accept the love that we think we can receive. So if there's like a whole ocean of love, but you think you can only receive this much, guess how much love you're getting? That much. Grow your hands bigger, grow your organs bigger so that you can handle more love. Because pain and pleasure operate on the same neural networks. Like, you ever wonder why some people, when you tickle them, they feel pain? It's because of the conditioning. It's because there a lot of the times, one of the reasons why people feel one of the very common reasons why people feel pain when they're being tickled is because at some point they were being tickled and their inner authority said, nope, done with this, and someone didn't stop. They kept going. And so they associated tickling and stimulus with pain. And then that bled into everything else. The lights are too bright, the sounds are too loud. And so their mind goes, pain, this is damaging to us. This person doesn't care about our well being. Get away from them. It's a very real experience for people. This is one thing that we all have to understand. It's a very real experience for people. And so when I'm dropping truth bombs, I'm doing it in a way, hopefully, that the people who experience that can have these sort of aha moments and be like, okay, so how do I get back? It's like you get someone to tickle you and you feel the pain and you calm yourself. And then you say, at any point, I can ask this person to stop and they'll respect it. This is the life that I live now. You redefine what pain is. You redefine what intensity and discomfort is by microdosing intensity, microdosing sensation. Plugging your nose and pulling in. Like, this is the body wanting to get oxygen into it. And your body knows, if I don't get oxygen into it, like, maybe I'm drowning. Maybe I'm, the air isn't good to breathe and I'm not getting what I need from the air. But again, you're in control. This act right here, this is cultivating internal authority. Because when you go panic, like, oh shit, it's like calmed out. Like, you don't eliminate fear. You cultivate courage in the presence of fear. You don't eliminate emotions or anxiety. You cultivate the ability to be present as opposed to fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. You microdose this stuff. So anyway, health. Exactly. The memory coupon code expired. Oh, well. What can I say? I control that code, so I'm going to go make it. I'm going to extend it for the day. How about that, guys? I will extend the coupon code for another day. I just really love when, like, people come in and they're like, oh, snap. Like, this is actually really tight. And I'm like, yeah. You guys have no idea how tight this is. All right, my friends. It's give it a shot again. I just reactivated it. Thanks for letting me know. Expanding our capacity for life in all its expressions. Yeah, and this bleeds into so many different areas of life. Marco is the man behind the coupon code curtain. Yes, I am. Recently, it happened once to me that I cried when someone went too far with the tickling. I can't remember when it happened the first time. Yeah, so Dixie, it's like, again, when your authority is never, how you say, your power. You don't give your power away. You just fail to use it. Because it's like when you were being tickled as a kid, or the first time that it happened, and you say, stop, stop. Stop, 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 stop. And the person like, and you're like, stop, 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 please stop. Go! Hopefully it doesn't have to be that dramatic. But if you have the limbs, the ability to push someone off of you, that will make you feel safer. And there's people who have limbs that they're just like, and they're just getting tickled. And it's like, oh, push the person off of you. But like, yo, when you're a kid and you don't really know how the world works, and you've also watched your parents let people walk all over them or suppress their emotions, what are you going to do? What you've been trained to do. And so even if you have great parents, like healthy, emotionally safe, sweet parents, you never went hungry, if you saw them suppressing their emotions, if you saw them lying to make their boss or their partner, your other parent happy, again, you're just going to adopt that. It's not you're not broken. It's just like that's just what we do. It's survival comes first. And it's like those are the ones that feed me and make sure that I live, so they're the authorities in my life. And then when you're a teenager, you realize that well, other people do things differently. So anyway, it's way more intense as a child. That's exactly what I'm saying is because a lot of the time as a child, again, we don't know how the world works. We're looking to our parents and to other forces of external authority to determine what am I supposed to do in this situation. And sometimes children will they'll retaliate really strong because they watch their parents suppress and suppress and suppress, pressurize, and instead of having a way to, it's like, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. But as the pressure builds up in your body, there's ways to, like, for instance, look at this. Subtle, but watch. I'm taking the pressure that's in my face and I'm building it and I'm allowing my whole body to benefit and to expand from the pressure. G, welcome to the archive. You say, why? So we are really connected to our souls, but we don't have awareness that happens. It's because, again, I don't think we ever lose connection to our souls. I think there's a lot of things to focus on. And part of the mind's job is to focus on the relevant thing. But sometimes, and oftentimes, we get very conditioned to focus on the wrong things as a way of attempting to mitigate the wrong things rather than focusing on what we want. And sometimes things happen so fast. It's like if you're in a Formula One race car and there's an accident in the race, and you look over there, you're going so fast that even if you just look over there, the car is going to turn. Because everything is so high strung and pressurized. Are you a witch? No, not a witch. I am a man. I do my best to like break all the labels, like even like teacher, like I'm a Reiki master teacher. But before any of that, I'm like a human being. Before any of that, I'm just an expression of life. I'm a breather. Why are actually our parents acting like this? Dude, and that's the other thing. It's like people talk about healing generational trauma, and it's literally like whatever patterns and conditioning you have in your body to change that so that it's more appropriate and harmonious for the life that you want to live. That is doing that work. And our parents are acting like it because their parents were in some cases worse. Like life just learns from life how to live, and then there's times when life looks at life on how to live and that life gives up, the example falls through, or the thing that's worked forever doesn't work. That's why mutation and diversity are so important. Oh, sadly, I was looking for advice on how to start practicing magic. Yeah, I'm not a witch, and I would say that in terms of magic, like, why do you want to practice magic? Good question. And I would say, like, some of the greatest magic that you can practice is the magic of rewiring your nervous system. One of the things that witches do is they work with the natural world to rewire and protect their nervous system. Because I'm attracted to it. What in you is attracted to it? Is there a person that you're like, oh, I really like what they do? What about them do you like? Because again, I'm not trying to discourage you from going to be a witch. I'm not discouraging you at all. I guess what I'm saying is like becoming a witch, again, that's an identity. That's a means to an end. And anyone can put on the identity. Like I could say, yes, I'm a witch. And I could look up like green witch magic rituals right here, and you guys wouldn't know because I read comments. I have like my Riverside studio and my my Instagram studio over here. And the reason I say that is because again, it's like not all witches are based in themselves. A lot of witches and a lot of witchcraft, even Christianity, like again, both sides of the spectrum, liberals and Democrats, and Republicans and conservatives, witches and Christians, Muslims and Christians, all of the polarities. There's so many people that don the title and that don the ritual, but the rituals never get below the surface. And that's where again, I don't want to be your teacher. I do want you to learn though. But I want you to learn from your teacher, which is your soul and your body. So as a child, we don't have awareness to understand why our parents are acting like that. Yes. No, we do not. We do not have the awareness. Again, that's why when we're teenagers and we start like learning about, oh, there's other forces of authority, either we attach more to our parents or we go through that rebellious phase. And that's natural because what the teenager is doing is saying, wow, my parents are very conditioned and set in their ways. Do I want to be that way? This is where the break of tradition and nuances are. Like when I was young, I saw that religion and God and the Catholic Church wasn't really serving my parents well. And I didn't feel the presence of God in the church. And so I went to define my own God. And it was spirituality. And it was actually very ego inflated of like, I'm God, I'm the experimenter. Thanks, mushrooms. Attraction to power. So no, not a person. Honestly, it just popped in my life and I never had the idea of magic before. So I'll tell you, when I was a kid, like I really wanted to be a wizard. And I feel like if you were to ask me if I was a wizard, I would probably say yes. Because wizards were people that could manipulate reality, that they understood the fundamental fabrics of reality, and they could do things that normal people, muggles, couldn't. Right? Harry Potter. Like I love Harry Potter. I want to be a wizard. And it's like I can actually be a wizard. I can be a witch. I can be whatever I want to be. But what does that do for me? And what does that do for the world? So I got attracted to it. I felt like I was meant for it. So Noor, again, when you're doing the rituals, pay very close attention to what's happening in your body. Pay very close attention to what's happening to um, the world around you. Like that's another thing that like a witch and a scientist are actually more similar than you would think. The scientist looks for metrics in the physical world. The witch typically looks for metrics in the metaphysical world that translate into the physical world. But it's all about how things relate to each other, and also the coven or the community that you choose to join. Nor are you a projector? That would make a lot of sense. A lot of projectors will identify with being a witch because also being a witch was persecuted. Because how is it that a woman knows how to gather herbs from the forest and heal these people's ailments when we, as doctors who have studied our entire lives, can't solve this illness? They must be working with the devil. There's a lot of persecution towards witches because they know how to listen, and towards women in general just because they know how to listen. And this is the thing, this is the determining factor for me when I'm learning about the male feminine polarity. If a man doesn't know how to accept or ask help from a woman, that is the least masculine thing. If a man says no, I know better, and he doesn't accept counsel or reflections or guidance from the woman, like the term feminine, if you look at like the original translation, it's not like submissive, it's responsive. It's I can help you. I'm strong where you're weak. Like we're a fucking team. And so a man that doesn't know how to use his teammate is not a man. That's something else. That's more of a devil than anything. So you think we can't identify with our soul? I think the closest identity that your soul is going to get in this lifetime is a harmonious relationship with your body. On my second year of SD, over never experienced so much serendipity or signs I'm on the right path. To me, that's magic. Totally. Projector, definitely feel witchy. Yes. Witchcraft is modern day chemistry. Yep. Chemistry. Big time. best viewers on streambo.com. Remove the space at CCX47. That's hilarious. I don't know if there's any real people on Twitch, honestly. But yeah, that's a good question. Dean, you got some good questions there, my friend. Can we identify with our soul? Yes, but I think that's also hubris in the sense that it's like, again, how how would how would a being that is limited by the body be able to, and again, it depends on your definition of the soul, which I feel like Jordan Peterson sometimes when I'm like, what do you mean by that word? But it's because everyone has different understandings of words. Some people have really strong understanding. Some people are fluid with their understanding of stuff. So I don't mean identifying with a form. I mean identifying with our infinite soul. Yeah, like that's the thing is like for me to identify with something infinite sort of defeats the purpose of that thing being infinite. Because part of identifying is to differentiate it from others, and infinity is something that includes everything. So again, it's one of those things that for me, I'm curious what the answer to that or what that could look like for any of us, and I'm sure that's why you're asking the question. But again, these are all things that I have in my 13, 14 years are like cool. So then here's the real question: can I be okay with that? Can I be okay with um, having to or the inability to identify with something infinite? And then what is given to me that I can identify with, that my mind can like dissect and pull apart without destroying the bird. Like if you hear a beautiful song coming from the forest and you go and watch the bird and you get to the point where you love that song so much or you're so obsessed with that song that you capture the bird, cage it so that you can hear it, that is like one step away from cutting the bird open so that you can try and understand the song that it makes and inadvertently killing the bird. That's like what Western medicine has done in a lot of way to the body. It's cut the body up, defined it into all its certain parts, and it's one of the reasons why I think, even though I love Jordan Peterson, why I feel like a lot of people in just like they get a real like ugh, to Jordan Peterson because he's part of that Western system that cuts things apart, that wants to know the definition super super well, and he's not a bad guy. He's just doing. He's just conditioned. We're all just conditioned, and I do my best to like cut things up when it's appropriate. But for the most part, I'm like, how can I actually just enjoy this song more? And I was raised very conservative, very God fearing, um, and so I've had to watch that bias come up anytime like politically charged stuff comes across my screen. And I used to be in the camp where I was like spiritual and I wouldn't take a stance on anything, but now I just keep quiet about that because I recognize that for certain people they're not able to see past some of those views. Like I'm on the truth. What political affiliation? The truth. The truth. How do we determine the truth? It's just my experience. Data, metrics, all that stuff, that's cool. But really, like the only thing I can actually rely on is like the truth, capital T, which is like, I don't take anything at face value. I don't take anything for the truth because I'm going to try and break it against the truth. And I know I'm flawed and I know I have blind spots. That's why I don't want to be your teacher. That's beautiful to contemplate. Maybe we don't identify the soul because we can sense it and it flows within its rhythm. Yeah, and like the beauty of the infinite is that it's able to move through all of us. And when it moves through all of us, the body is the thing that decodes different parts of it. You are not what you are because you identify with it. You are what you are because you are it. Yes, exactly. And then from there, I can choose to identify with stuff. Like I'll give a hot take. Do I want to give a hot take? Kind of. Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. This is kind of nerve wracking for me, but I'm generally um, pro life, and the reason I say that is because, and I don't think that abortion is wrong. I just feel like a lot of people are choosing to take life away, and it's more akin to murder and killing, but they're trying to make it seem like it's not when it's like, hey, just like let it be that. Especially if, like, again, collectively, like there's a lot of people that see it, like just say that you're okay with that. Don't try and like manipulate reality to make yourself feel better, because that's something that a lot of people, and if you look at the stories of women that have chosen to go that route, the level of grief and heartache and all that stuff. Because I'm not here to like tell anyone what to do with their lives and their body. Again, the infinite moves through all of us, and it's going to have different fractalized expressions. For me in my life, I've been sort of on both sides in my life, and I haven't wanted to take a solid stance because genuinely I'm like, I can't control people, and the more you try to control people, the more they resist you. It's a weird thing. But I very much so value life and the process of life. And I do believe that that is something that there's a price to pay, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's morally correct or wrong in certain situations. Every situation is unique, but there is a price to be paid with all of it. So I might have lost some. I know I probably lost some people, but I also probably like really gained some other people. Or maybe not. Maybe you guys are just like actually able to hold the middle ground with me and we're just doing this. So you mentioned in your video that you can answer any question about life. I do my best, but also it's like, there's certain questions that I'm like, I don't have an answer, or this just like brings up more questions to it. So how would you know you're a man? So for me, I define man as having the male genitalia, because that for me is the experience of being a man, comes from having the male genitalia and the male hormones and stuff like that. More gained, lol. Cool. I'm okay. I'm okay with losing certain types of people. You feel to be a man. Well, I feel to be a man, and then I also have the parts of a man. Like that's again for me. It's like, and again, you can think what you want. Like for men that want to be, you know, in another way, be feminine, wear women's clothes. Like I don't care. I actually don't care. But you're not going to take like a definition that is a definition for a reason and completely 180 it. I'm down to have the conversations, but it's like one of the things that I really don't like about a lot of these political conversations is when you expect someone, like, for even with racism, how are you going to expect somebody who has experienced so much like racism in their own life to just completely drop it? And then vice versa, how can you expect someone that's been racist their whole life to just completely drop it? You can't. I mean, you can, but it's like you're setting yourself up for big disappointment. I think pro choice is about having the information and being able to guide your life to wherever you want. Yeah, again, I agree. And there's a cost for that. And I think a lot of the where does life begin conversation is really just ignoring what is the price of terminating a pregnancy. And it's a lot, it's very heavy. It's very heavy. So, no, I mean about abortion. Oh, okay. So, how would you know you're a man? Oh, Dan. Okay. I feel you. You're trying to say that I have no authority to talk about it. How would you know you're a man? Right. I'm still allowed to have an opinion. Oh, this is like kind of like nerve wracking for me. Yeah. So, in the same way that I have an opinion about pregnancy and I can objectively see the consequences and the prices that women pay when they have, they choose a certain path with pregnancy or a path with any of that. Like, I'm just observing from the outside. I'm not creating legislature. And so, any energy you have towards me, like you're on the bad guy side or you're on our side, like pick a side. Yeah. Man, it's just a definition about the feeling of it. Having children you don't want is also very correct. Again, there's a price. There's a price to be paid with everything. So, man, that's funny. Like, and here's the thing: is like, I've avoided saying that and kind of like touching in on this topic, but the more that I, especially in being a father and watching my child grow up and realizing, because one of the things about children, and this is my experience, I didn't want to have my child. I didn't think I was ready. I thought it was going to alter my life for the worse, but it forced me to grow up. I'm a father. Yeah, I have a 2-year old and then a another one on the way. Like I didn't want it. I didn't want to be a dad. Not I didn't think I was ready. And I didn't have the income, I didn't have the circumstances, I didn't feel like my mind was ready. Like none of it was I didn't feel like I was ready to be able to do it. But when my partner was like, "Hey, this is what we're doing." I like locked the fuck in. And I started using the part of myself that would fantasize about how much better life would be if I didn't have children. I started using that fantasizing energy instead of glorifying this alternate reality that wasn't happening. I catastrophized it. I said if I didn't have a child, I would have gone on tour and I would have got addicted to all these drugs and blah 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 blah. Because again, I don't know what that alternate reality is, and I'm not going to pretend like I do. And so again, the mind is a very powerful tool if you know how to leverage it. What other different energy centers are best for when asking yes or no questions? So the sacral is the best for internal yes or no questions. The ajna is the best for external questions. What I mean by that is if you're trying to figure out what you want to eat, tune into the uh-huhs, uh-uhs. If you want to figure out which screw to use when building your deck, use your nodal, use your ajna, use the thing that like looks at the world and researches online and like has external corroborations. But when it comes time to you wanting to eat, and then so great question is like, what if there's other people that want to eat something else other than you, and you're like to this but to that? It's like you can compromise. Again, you can get something that you don't necessarily want, but you're not like a full to. And you can also just like go get your own food and then meet them up later. Is not birth control, is family planning. So that's another thing that I have about it is like people don't respect the sacredness of sex. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are having these kind of conversations around um, terminating pregnancies is because, and again, they learned it from their parents who learned it from their parents. Bomb. Have a great day, guys. Uraeus. Mahalo, my friend. Yeah, I agree with that. And that's it. And again, is it's like it's so much of it is not about what's right or what's wrong. It's each individual's inability to take accountability for their actions. That's where I get to a place with it. Um, because there's great stories and catharsis and truth on both sides. And that's what we're talking about here is like, can you hold both of those without like running away or trying to fight it or suppress it? Like a lot of these debates that you guys are seeing online, what is the person doing? Is it my turn? Is it my turn? Is it my and then the other person's like, is it my turn? Is it my turn? Is it my turn? And it's just like it's like a slapping contest. And it's kind of, in my opinion, fucking ridiculous. It's more performative, it's more about followers, and then you're entangling people's egos. He won, she lost. And I get it. Like we're looking for the truth, but it's like, are we looking to determine what's true, or are we looking to hold the full spectrum of what can be true and what has been true for each individual in their fractalizing expression of the infinite? Oh, hey, this is the first time I ever caught you live. Jess, welcome. I don't know what those characters are, my friend, but I'm doing well. Doing very well. If we have an expanding capacity to hold life, we wouldn't be worried about the children limiting our lifestyle. We would just go through it and let them expand us even more. That's exactly what I did. It makes us more responsible and mindful and awake and present in every moment. I genuinely look back at my spiritual practices as a single man, and there's so much, like I'm able to take so much accountability for how much of that, not all of it, but how much of that spiritual stuff that I was doing was literally to like find the hottest girl that I could be with. straight up. Like it feels degenerate almost when I compare it with the level of responsibility and the effort that I have to put in to enjoy. I feel like I have more freedom now that I have a child, because I'm not necessarily like cheating on my partner, not in my reality. Not that I'm not able to do it, but it's just I have such a narrow path to walk now, and that has expanded my capacity for freedom and compassion and love more than, like, again, if I didn't have my child, I may not be doing this. Or I might be doing this and trying to hunt one of the beautiful women in the comment section. Straight up. That's just me wanting to be as transparent as possible. Having a child was the best thing to ever happen for me because it literally leveled me up. And that's not going to be the same for everybody. So rather than judging, look at it as different perspectives and broaden your mind. Right. Because it's like there's enough. And it's like the thing. It's like a fish would look at a bird and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Why do you do that? Why do you eat your young? Why do you push the dodo bird pushes other eggs out to like have their eggs? It's like, dude, conditioning is not the problem. Conditioning is the answer to the problem, which is life is limited. Life is mortal. At some point, life is going to be taken away. And it's like, how do you get into heaven? I don't fucking know. I'm still on earth. I'm still alive. I'm not going to pretend like I know what the way to get to heaven and get into heaven is. And people put their trust in a book. I don't think they're wrong for it. But when it causes them to treat other people as inhuman, I'm like, you've got oh, look at that. There's a human being with some limitations on their capacity for compassion. How Christ-like are you? Yeah, for me, it's a sensitive topic, as being a woman with little info and wanting to experience was Scar. I think it's useful for a team leader to know and to use motivation variables of their team members. 100%. Leverage the shit out of that. Yes, for me, it's a sensitive topic, as being a woman with little info and wanting to experience was scary. Mar, again, I get that lack of info in the external world. Which expert do I listen to? It's a paradox, but here's one of the things too that I would invite every woman who's carrying, that is considering that. How much information from the external world do you need to either support or cover up what you know inside your body? Like, I genuinely believe there's women and there's contracts. Children will come into contracts with women and be like, the contract says, hey, you're going to terminate this pregnancy, and that's going to do something for your spiritual development or whatever. And there's some that come in and say, hey, you're going to want to terminate it, but it's not going to work. And this is what it's going to, like, not to say destiny, it's all predetermined. But again, it's like, if something else was supposed to happen, then that would have happened. One of the greatest sins I think that human beings commit is when something happens, they deny what happens, and then they try and make up that something else happened. It's like this whole Aubrey Marcus thing. A lot of people are super out of pocket with their statements about it, but I'm like, don't try and rebrand polyamory as monogamy. Just be like, hey, I actually wanted to just be with both these women. Cool. The evolution of love, yes, maybe. But to, again, and it's when you attack institutions that have worked for a while that people get really upset. But anyway, like I was saying, I recommend everyone tune into their own inner authority. Today I'm an adult. See, I know how not to have a baby now, but as a teenager, right? And that's the thing, is like with, sexual education, what do? They try and scare us. They try and suppress the sexual desire. They don't teach us how to have safe sex. They teach us to fear the consequences of having sex and relating at all. And why is that? Because they too undervalue and don't have the capacity to appreciate what sex actually is, which is creative energy. It's like, you look at the most, like, all of the celebrated artists and even businesses, that's all sexual energy. Like, sexual energy, masculine and feminine forces, structure and flow, initiation and receptivity. This is what life is built off of. Life isn't just cloning itself, it's creating something new. So really nice debate. Thanks. You're welcome, Mar. I appreciate you as well. And again, it's like I know that this is so sensitive for a lot of people, especially like a man talking about pregnancy and abortion. Um, and so thanks. That's all I have to say. Thanks for listening. Like I don't need you guys to trust me, I don't inherently trust anyone, but I will listen. I will listen, and I do my best to listen. And when I'm incapable of listening, that's what I have my friends for, to be like, hey Marco, just shut up and listen. It's like, oh, okay, my ego takes a blow, but I'm able to. I'm disciplined enough in the sense that I'm thinking about my future self. I'm thinking about my legacy. I was considering it with my second because I was about to start college. I kept him though. Worth it. Yeah. Life will find a way. Life always finds a way. Well, man, this is pretty off topic for me. I would like to speak rather than write. Well, I feel you on that. Speaking is at least when it comes to debating, I think speaking is actually really challenging, and I don't necessarily know if speaking is always the best medium for debate. Simply out of the fact that like so many people don't have a full range of motion, not just in the language that they use, but energetically what they're able to articulate. Because I know that there's people that have really great arguments for and against, you know, all of this. However, the instrument that they have, it's like rusty strings or a mouthpiece that needs to be replaced. Because no one showed you how to change your strings or replace the mouthpiece. Which it's like one of the things is, especially if you get emotional or you're unable to speak up when you have something to say, or let me get this tea out of my mouth, um or you tend to say more than you actually mean. It's like, objectively, let's see, how do I feel about this? Again, this isn't a flex, but when I'm opening my mouth, it's because I'm calm, cool, and collected. The minute I start to get like excited and jumpy and emotional, then my words are starting to get infused with things that I haven't allowed to settle in my body, and I don't feel like I would believe in it, like I would stake my life on it. So I have your report, and I'm interested in knowing more. Oh, KM. Well, thanks for buying a report. If you go to the very bottom of your report, it's the last section. It's section 3. There's a whole section that will like basically explain human design, how to read your body graph. So it'll teach you more. And then if you want more on top of that, I do also one-on-one sessions. Um, Although one thing that I would highly recommend is if you really are interested in learning more about human design and the body graph and specifically how to like activate it within yourself, I have a membership called the Archive where I teach people, me and my partner, we teach people how to like physically activate a circuitry that is, heavily on the logic side or heavily on the abstract sensing side. And so there's a lot of things that movements and physical exercises we can show you that will help you to actualize the energy centers as their physical manifestations of your organs. And that right now is on sale. Actually, you can get your first month for 18 bucks. It's normally 37 bucks per month. It's a membership, cool community, live classes, etc. I'm so disconnected. It's wonderful that you know that though. And that's probably why the human design feels great, because you're like, oh my God, and it looks good, but again, how do you activate it? And unfortunately, no amount of talking is going to activate it. You actually have to stimulate the growth and provoke growth within yourself. um, so yeah, come check out the membership. If you use the coupon code MEMORY, MEMORY, in at checkout, you'll get the first month for 18 bucks instead of 37. Which, objectively speaking, I have a lot of people in this membership like, Marco, you need to charge more for this membership. And I said, nope. I want it to be insanely accessible, but I still want to make enough money so that I can actually like focus on this. And it's going great. It's going great. We're going to be doing this for a long time. So if you feel like it's not time for you, um, you know, step up and join. And also, if you really feel like it's not time, again, I'm not here to be the external authority. You trust the inner voice, but ask yourself: is this my inner authority speaking, or is this my mind trying to keep me where I'm at speaking? Because it's literally $18. It's like less than lunch, for a whole month of access to this work. And you can, even if you just join for a month, get access to the work, learn it, and then leave. I don't care. I just want people to have access to this because there's so many workshops and courses and stuff out there where all they're just doing this. And for some people it's great. For some people it's great. For me, I've done enough of that. I'm interested in something a little bit different. So anyway, I'm trying to figure that out. Yeah. 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 What is your type? What's your authority? KM. What's your type and your authority? I can help you. I can direct you in terms of what places to look. Because one of the things about the mind is that it's isolated up here. So a lot of times you'll be like numb below. And one of the first things that you actually learn in the archive is how to pressurize downward. Because again, everyone wants to elevate their consciousness, everyone wants to transcend. But if you take your nose, you plug it, and you push pressure down, and you basically, it's like you're trying to take a poop. You're trying to like push poop out of your body by plugging your nose and breathing out. Do it gently at first. I just did that to like make the sound. Your ears might pop, your eyes might bubble. That's totally fine. But push that energy downward. Very interesting. Thank you. Sending love from Liverpool, England. Gotta go. It's time. Thanks, JB. Appreciate you. Is there any connection with guilt motivation with the motivation I need to get into the gym? Oh, dude. Okay. So, number one, consider that maybe the gym isn't your environment, because the only way that I could go to the gym consistently is if I could walk to it, or if I have friends that are going to meet me there or pick me up. I've just I've accepted this part about me. And so my motivation is to, um, like, I swing swords, I swing kettlebells, and I have guilt motivation as well. So I can speak from lived experience. Every time I'm doing moves and I feel like either giving up, or like I don't want to do this, or I'm lacking motivation, one of the things I think about is, I saw this video about a guy that catches child predators, and he was attempting to understand why a child predator would choose a certain child. And he said, across the board, the way that they would determine which targets they would go for had to do with the father. They said if the father was a threat, I wouldn't get that child. If the father seemed like he would do nothing, or wasn't strong, or wasn't intimidating, those are the kids I would pick. And so that's my guilt motivation. I'm motivated by the fact that if I don't stack on scary muscle and the ability to rip someone's throat out of their neck, like, my child could be targeted. So sorry to go there, but like that's how I personally use my own guilt motivation to get me to work out. And I do it in the practical sense. If I need to chase someone down, if I need to, like, grip strength, like choke them out. My name is Marco, and I spent a lot of time in martial arts. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with that. Which I don't know how that would work in the hope motivation style. If you have hope motivation, um, maybe it would be like, I don't know. I actually don't know. Again, I'm learning, more and more I'm learning about human design. The more I learn, it's like, as much as we want to appear as external authorities for other people, we really only have our internal authority. We can contextualize the external authority and we can corroborate, but that's where we have to corroborate. My guilt would be like, oh, if I say something about hope motivation or something that I'm not, and I haven't corroborated this with other people, this might not actually be true. And it's one of the reasons why I actually spent a lot of time not sharing, because I was just gathering data. Primal truth right there. Yeah. I think it's a man's responsibility to be threatening and to be strong and um, capable in the physical world. And it's not like I don't think women are capable, but I think if women weren't here, men wouldn't really have a reason or a motivation to become strong, because there wouldn't necessarily be anything to protect or anything worth protecting. Spicy live today. Not really, just spicy for me. That whole topic of pro life, pro choice thing, like that's something that genuinely scares me, because again, I want the message to be able to be received, because I genuinely see it as a universal truth. Like, everyone's got a physical body, everyone has to deal with pressure and heat and external conditioning, and everyone has an internal authority. And that is one of those areas where, again, like, I think people are just like, they're fighting for access to the external authority, or they're fighting over who is the external authority. In reality, is like, everyone's got an internal authority, my friend. And so, you don't at least I don't want to create a world as an external authority where I have to suppress other people's internal authority to be right. Like, I think I genuinely, and maybe that's the only way to do it. I don't freaking know, but I do have my views on it. I do believe that there is a price to pay for each one, and that depending on each circumstance and situation, that the price, again, objectively, is a lot heavier if you attempt to take life, because a lot of the people are not seeing it as that. They're trying to, like, make it seem like to make themselves feel better or less guilty. But as a dad now, I know. As a dad now, I know. Like, that little being, if I didn't have that because I chose to take that, that would be a heavy price. And I may never, even in this lifetime, I may never know the consequence of that, if that was the route that I went. I'm good. I'm grateful I did. Grateful I didn't. I love my baby, and I love this baby coming in too, because they are bringing so much beauty and magic into my life. So thank you guys for listening to me and supporting me as I explore these edges. Because this, especially as a reflector too, like, putting myself on live, especially regularly, like, this is one of the most consistent things that I have in my life, is these lives, where I consistently go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time, and I just sit here and I just reflect and chat and share. And part of it is business, part of it is like, hey, I want people to know about the work that me and my partner Pasha are doing with sensory design and the archive. I want to help people who want to manifest their body graph, because that is one of the most wild things, especially for people that are like, wow, I just bought an 80-page report and now I have to absorb all this information, and oh my god, all of this is so accurate, so what am I supposed to do? Strategy and authority, okay, I get that. What else am I supposed to do? Like, it's so cool that there's literally like 60 plus hours of courses that you can watch, that if you want to actualize your human design, you watch sensory design season 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we're building 5 out right now. But you watch seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it's like, your design can't help but turn on. Sorry, I just gotta send a text message over here, my friends. We are actually getting close to the end. All right. Last 10, 15 minutes. Anyone got any more questions? I feel pretty tapped in, like, a good way. Like, I stretched myself a little bit further. Because the other part of me going live is to stretch myself. because I've always been told as a reflector, it's like, oh yeah, don't seek consistency. You're not going to be good if you like seek consistency. But it's like, this has been one of the most revealing things about me in my life, is to see how I show up to a live audience, watch the parts of myself that like shift forward and back, or rather like into authenticity, or in backwards, like out of authenticity. And I gotta say, I based off what I'm tracking, and all the responses that I get from people, I'm exactly the same, which makes me and my ego very happy. And it's also because I stay in this partially stay in this safe space for myself, not talking about pro life, not talking about what's a man, what's a woman, any of that kind of stuff. But I do feel though that is coming, because I do genuinely believe in objective truth, truth with a capital T. I'm not here to smash your truth, but in the hierarchy of truth, is like, there's people that want to pass off, well, my truth is that I have wings. And I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You can have that in your mind, but you're not going to convince me otherwise. Unless you can. Unless you can. So yeah. So a channel made up of a conscious gate and an unconscious gate, does it work differently? So not necessarily, but it will be, it's like composed of differently. So in the sense that it's like, let's say, you wrote a song, and then you have a song that somebody else wrote. Maybe your father wrote the song. A good way to visualize this is like a channel that's made up of a design and a personality gate, conscious and unconscious. Um, it's like you're gonna start a set with your song, and but then end it with your dad's song. And so it's partial inheritance, partial original, or part of your personality. Another good way to visualize this is like, you might find it more challenging to identify or recognize the unconscious part or the design part, as opposed to the conscious part. And so you might have a dependency on one or the other, is kind of the way I see it, of being one or the other, which again isn't necessarily a bad thing. What I would do though is I would definitely explore, in like, right, sensory design, one of the things, like if the gate is in the, like if it's like spleen to the throat, when you're doing spleen exercises, right, experiment with the throat. And so it's not so much of like, does it work differently, but how does it work differently? How does it feel? So my type is manifester, authority is splenic. Okay. Okay. Thanks for going to look that up, KM. Based off that information, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but whatever your first intuition was about the archive, like when I started talking about it, you either felt like, this is healthy, this is good for me, and then your mind started to be like, but I don't know if this is, maybe it's not good for me. If that was the scenario, come join the archive. Risk the biscuit. If your first intuition was, nope, this is not for me, I'm not ready, and then me talking got your mind going, be like, well, but maybe this is, don't join yet. Don't join until your spleen and your inner authority is like, this is healthy. Like, I know I need to do this. And look for a whisper, look for a ringing in the ear, look for a feeling of vitality, like a flush, like a literal flush of vitality. No, I was feeling it. Well, get on in here, my friend. Get, again, coupon code MEMORY, MEMORY. Plug that in. It's $18. You are gonna love it. Because again, this is the thing, is, and you can't, like, I saw, again, not to bring up Aubrey Marcus again, but someone was like, when Aubrey Marcus described his like little situation, he's like, I heard a voice and it was Isis, and it told me to have children with both these women. And I said, oh no. One of the ways that she sort of like invalidated him was by saying, spirit would not put something in front of you that like, causes you to doubt yourself. And I'm like, that's stupid as fuck. Spirit is not like this, coddling kind of energy. Spirit knows, hey, they have the capacity to handle this, but they don't know it yet. And so I'm going to put it in front of them. That's how I see. Um, with like, spirit will put stuff in front of you all the time that's like, oh shit. But it does that as a way of having like God, like people talk about having faith in God. What about God having faith in you? What about God saying like you're actually stronger than you are, or the universe saying you're actually more robust and strong than you are, and I'm going to challenge you to be stronger. Challenge exactly. And so, and a lot of what the archive does is it takes the things that we normally shy away from, anxiety, conflict, emotions, and it gives us the opportunity to trust our body's feedback. Because there will be times when you're doing an exercise and you'll be like, this is too much. This is too much. And you push a little bit past it. And then your mind shuts off. And you're like, whoa, I can actually do this for a lot longer. And then your shoulder starts to adjust itself because you're not worried. You've broken the threshold of the mind, and you've broken the invisible chains that the mind has on you. And that's no easy thing to do. Not an easy thing to do. Very challenging, very very challenging thing to do. And we celebrate the heck out of it. Because again, the archive is not just a course, it's also a community. Because again, it's a challenging thing to do. So we support each other in the ways that we can, and we call each other out. Like I've had to tell some people, like, hey, this line of questioning is irrelevant. How many times have you been practicing sensory design? And they'll be like, oh, I just watched the first episode. And I'm like, you've been in here for a month and you've only watched the first episode, and you're asking all these questions. Hey, go through the season. Go through the season. Watch. It's like starting a movie and being like, how's it gonna end? It's like, bruh, watch the movie. You came to watch the movie. But again, that's how a lot of people's nervous systems work. It's like, this is hard. When's it gonna end? It's like as soon as you start like feeling it, you'll realize that it's not actually that hard. Objectively, it's not actually that hard. There's ways to make life easier. Like for instance, this. Like if you know how to brace with your core, and this is stuff that you'll learn, your shoulder won't burn as much because it's not just your shoulder anymore. It's your core and your pelvic floor. And that's one of the things, getting your right shoulder and left hip to start talking so that you can create more force with that hand. Life is hard. Yeah. Yeah. It's like life is hard, but it's like you're harder, or you can be harder. Because life is also like life, in my opinion, it's not as hard as you make it out to be. It's hard, but it's not as hard as you make it out to be. What if you are a projector, but there isn't, or let me retract that statement. Life is hard, but it's made harder when you don't put effort into it, or when you're afraid of putting effort into it, or you don't feel safe putting effort into it. That's what I like to say. What if you are a projector, but there isn't any real invitations happening? What's your authority, splenic or emotional? Either way, consider your inner authority having the ability to invite you to things. Two things I would do. Number one, whatever your inner emotional. Okay, so for you, what you want to do is you want to get your this soft part is the same as like your gooch and your pelvic floor and your sex organs. I would get these to talk. So I would learn how to flex them and relax them at the same time. Again, this is something that you can learn very quickly in the archive. Like in your first 7 hours, you you won't necessarily have it mapped out in your head, but you will have the frameworks in your body established after the first 7 hours of the first course. Season one, sensory design, 7 hours long, 7 classes long, goes through all the centers, and it shows you how to activate them. So if you're a projector and there's no invitations happening, one of the things that you have to do is learn how to tune into your celiac ganglia, learn into your emotional, your solar plexus authority, which runs from here to here. Primarily, it's right here. And tune into what your solar plexus is inviting you into. In the sense that, like, if you see something and you're really excited about it, but no one is inviting you to go do it, take yourself. That's the first thing I would say. See the void of invitations as an opportunity to recognize that you're not necessarily surrounded by people that can value you or see your value. And not that you need to cut them off, but that you need to stop feeding into those connections, because you're never going to get the thing that you want from them, because you are inherently undervaluing yourself. Second thing I would do is I would look at the transits, and whenever you have motors active, like your solar plexus active, especially any of the manifesting channels, that's going to be solar plexus or heart to the throat, or any way, sacral, root, heart, or solar plexus. If there's any channels going to the throat, I would use those as opportunities to like take yourself to the park, take yourself out to eat, do stuff by yourself. You know, it seems like a small thing, but it's actually a huge thing for a projector to strategically take themselves places and invite themselves on dates or experiences. Because then when you're doing that, you're not relying on other people to validate yourself. You're valuing yourself. I deserve to be taken out, so I'm going to take myself out. I don't have the energy. Oh, but on Saturday, you know, the 35, 36 channel activates. And so, okay, I'll plan to do it on Saturday, and then just go out on Saturday and see what happens. See what kind of things get pulled into your field. Because again, if you're waiting for other people to invite you and they're not inviting you, the invitation is to let the transits or go inward, or even just like be alone and move through some of that stuff. That will be hard for sure, but I need to. Right. And this is the thing. It's like, how is it that we can get ourselves to do the hard thing that we know that we need to do? This is discipline. Discipline is thinking about your future self. In the future, I want to be the type of person that isn't upset when I'm not getting invitations, because I want to do things, but I also want people to invite me. So what's something you can do today that's going to serve that future version of yourself? That's how I view discipline. It's just keep your future self in mind. What is it that you want? And then from where you're at, and see yourself where you're at clearly. Again, no invitations. Okay, how do I take steps towards that? And again, usually, especially with projectors, it's like you got to learn how to value yourself, take yourself out on dates, etc. You have to know your own value for others to see it, right? And it's not only you have to know your own value, you have to be able to feel it. You have to feel, and it's like, again, some people will be like, and a lot of people have never even taken themselves on a date before, which is wild. But again, it seems like such a small thing, but especially for non-sacral beings, it's like a big thing. It's a pretty big thing. And so while you're out, radiate success. Watch people. Watch your celiac ganglia. Watch when it gets tight. Watch when it feels expanded. And before you go about saying, oh, it's too expanded, I need to contract it, or oh, it's too crushed, I need to expand it, see if you can't, like, oh, it's expanded. Can I expand it more? If it's compressed, can I compress it more? Because that's the thing, is when you push energy down, it automatically bounces up. If you pull energy up, it automatically drives down. This is also reflected in your inhales. If you want to take bigger breaths, you don't just take bigger breaths. You take a bigger exhale, bigger, bigger, bigger. Hold. Bigger. Push more air out. And then let the massive inhale happen. Yes. Hello, new sleep token fan. Oh. Has someone made the gang sign of it yet? The sleep token logo? I just thought of that. Oh my God. So funny, I was just about to sign off, but now that you're here, let's chat. Oh God, that's going to be so hard. God damn. Okay, anyway. Looks like one of the shirts. No, this is actually this is human design. So this is my obsession before sleep token. KM, I'm glad you found my live too. Like I said, I go live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. And yeah, I just pretty much do this. So no, the hand thing. Oh, it did kind of look like it, didn't it? which is funny because the logo for my company is. Find it in here. The only bird burns this side of the moon. You're the only game I like to lose. So yeah, I'm so obsessed with it. But this is the logo for my company, and they both have X's. Anyway, yeah. I was contemplating. I love when people find my boys. Like, for real. Also, if anyone in this live doesn't know about Sleep Token, please kindly pull your head out of your ass and go listen to some Sleep Token, because they are one of the reasons I love Sleep Token so much is because the if you listen to the it has a very unique kind of encryption that a lot of other metal songs don't necessarily have, which is like, and like heavy music doesn't necessarily have, is, and you're not becoming obsessed, Matthew, is this, and there's a whole, again, formula that I kind of like started fleshing out. Maybe that's why you see it. But Vessel, or whoever is writing the lyrics, is absolutely 100% involved in um, like doing shadow work, which is very much so, and like deconditioning themselves, and confronting the parts of themselves that want to remain small, but then expanding into it, which is so much of what I do. Which is see people where they're at, small, crushed, destroyed, anxious, a nervous wreck, and I show them how to access parts of their biology. I don't put anything new in them, but I give them parameters to start to like work with themselves so that they can feel safe being big and strong and who they actually are. Vessel 1 and Vessel 2, they have felt some things, 100%. Your Sleep Token vid was my first impression of you. Instant follow. Thanks. And again, and it's like I also see so many musicians get caught up in the fame of their music, and I just love what Sleep Token is doing. My fear now, not fear, but one of the things that I'm already starting to see is more like anonymous masked groups come forward that are not necessarily of the same quality or cloth. Which again, I don't necessarily have fear around it, but it's like there's going to be a lot of imitators out there. But the one thing that I think is so beautiful about Sleep Token, and one of the reasons I feel like the whole neurodivergent and anxious, book talk community or whatever, is like they can't help but do this. Like they can't help but be this way. And I look at Vessel One's stage presence, and it's like his body at least doesn't know how to handle all the fame. My rooster, say hi to your rooster. That's more of a turkey. Anyway, I apologize for that. His body doesn't necessarily know how to handle the stage, and I think that's beautiful because I'm so curious to see. And I've watched old videos of him, and he's definitely gotten better at it, but still, he'd be one of my dream clients. Just because it's like another thing that is very real in terms of music. And if you actually try this out, and I want to go to a worship at some point because I want to do this at a worship. He stims, right? But he does it and this is just my opinion. He does it inefficiently. There's so much energy to be harvested, and stimming, like I stim, but I'm a martial artist. So in terms of like all this energy, like I actually, and not to say that people that stim don't know how to use it, but again, from my perspective, like I get these like urges to move and stim, but instead of just like letting them run wild, I know how to like actually like avatar shit, like conjure it and bring it in. But anyway, at worships, because I do this at concerts, and everyone will be jumping and jamming to the music, and I'll drop in and I'll just start harvesting the energy, because it's like for instance, when people clap, they're like dispersing energy. And when people clap, what I do, I'll like pull the energy in. pull the energy into my body, especially. And this again, this might just be a reflector thing, but um, yeah, he definitely would be one of my dream clients because there's so much energy that he can harvest, and based off of his music and his lyrics and just the aura that I feel from him, like there's this like such a beautiful thing that he's able to do with it already without someone like me. But it's like I want to be homie's Merlin. So no martial artist background, but I do something similar. Yeah, and it's like, again, it's energy. It's a surplus of energy, and what I think a lot of like stimming and neurodivergence and autism is, I genuinely think that it's like high energy, low capacity for the body. And one of the things that I just really makes me really sad is when you have a being that has such a massive like portal, crown, or root access to stress and inspiration, but they don't know how to coil it and build it and channel it. Thank you for the chat. I have to prepare for today. Sleep be with you, my friend. That's cool. Nice to meet you. I'm a projector and I find myself conducting it and moving it around the space. Yes. And again, there's like efficient ways to do that and non-efficient ways to do that. There's ways that like look really good for the screen, Like I could be one of those Reiki ASMR people. I'm not interested in that. I'm not. I'm not. I'm more interested in inviting you to do it. Yes, different levels of energy, and some of us don't know how to disperse it. Yeah. You get it. And again, and that's the thing, because it's like, and in a lot of like neurodivergent, it's like neuro not normal versus like what the fuck is even normal though? Like why is it normal that, like, for instance, you look at some of the neurotypical people that all they want to do after a long day of work is crack open a hard beer and watch TV. I'm like, what the fuck is that? That's no, 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 no. I don't think that's healthy at all. It's not relaxing. It's not down regulating for your nervous system. It's just numbing you. And so that's the thing, is like neurodivergent. It's just like we're like mutants. I don't claim that marker, neurodivergent or autistic or any of that stuff. But probably if they were to do some of the stuff, it might say that. To which I would say, I don't give a shit. I don't fucking care. Because the medical system literally, it's a bastardization of nature. They'll cut a bird open to try and figure out how it makes a song, and then they'll ruin the song. And it's like, to bring it back to Sleep Token, so many people are like, oh, who is Sleep Token? Like, blah, blah, blah. We want to know who you are, about the quote unquote toxic fandom, which there's very few people I feel like that are actually like this. But like, they want to know the mystery so bad they'll ruin the story. They'll fast forward to the end of the movie because they can't take the suspense. And it's like, dude, if you can't take the suspense, don't ruin it for everyone. Get out of the theater. Anyway, how do you dispel or transform energy that feels off? So, okay. So, for instance, if there is an energy that feels off to me, one of the ways that I'll transmute it is with my legs. So oftentimes, and the way I found this out was that when I was working with people, or when I was having to confront someone who's like either really narcissistic or very manipulative, or any of that kind of energy, super off emotional energy, very projecting, very insecure, but hiding it with like the posture. One thing that I would notice is that my legs would like jitter. And it wasn't like my legs are jittering, it was kind of like my hip flexors were like shaking. And so what I did was I went to go strengthen my hip flexors. And so one of the ways that I transmute this energy is that I get my feet, I drive them into the ground, and I act as though I'm trying to like rip apart a piece of paper. This is one of my grounding techniques. I'll take my palms, put them on the inside of my knees, and I'll push my knees apart, and then I'll drive my knees together. So this grounds me into my legs, and it basically, I'm taking my ability to disperse a charge, which is their charge. I'm able to charge it through the floor. I'm grounding myself, but I'm not doing it with just like wishful thinking and breathing. I'm physically doing it with my legs. So that's so good. The visual, which is helpful for me. Emotional manifesting generator. Need to hear that. Mahalo. You got you, Summer. You're welcome. All right, guys. I think I do need to end this live. I got some business to attend to. But yeah, that's a really great one. What's good in the chat? What's the topic of the day? Alicia, I'm about to leave. I'm sorry, but come back on Friday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I go live. Uh, this was a really good one. If you want to watch it on YouTube, all of my lives are saved on YouTube. Alex, was great to see you. For all of my like Sleep Token fans that just like emerged right here at the end, it was really awesome connecting with you. I think I might want to like do like a full on Sleep Token live and just connect with some fans because I'm in Hawaii, so I don't necessarily. There's not a lot of fans. I got all my friends hooked on it, and we're all geeks over it now. And yeah, and also for anyone that is interested in like how do I, sort of like learn how to like stim more efficiently, or how do I bring my internal authority online, how do I actualize my body graph, how do I properly use human design, and proper is not the right word, but it's more like how do I practically use human design. Come check out the archive. I have a sale going on right now for the rest of the day. It's half off of the $37 a month membership, so it's $18 for your first month. And come check it out. We have a really, really cool community, people getting some like really insane results behaviorally, energetically, and then also physically as it pertains to all that. So I need your guidance for sure. Alicia, also guys, feel free to DM me. Feel free to DM me. I also have my reports on sale. Thanks, Alexa. My reports on sale, they're normally $35, but they're $20 now. I have private sessions as well that are on sale for Memorial Day. So anyway, never give up hope. Oh, my friend, what's up? Blessings to you. I did just shave, so I do feel pretty good. But anyway, guys, much love to you guys. Thank you so much for such a wonderful, wonderful time. Go listen to some Sleep Token. Come join the archive, and I'll see you next Friday. Okay, love you guys. Peace. Your finger.